Professor Dubey, the fact is, we're now getting images, the very first images of the workers who are trapped inside of the tunnel. We see them out and they are, on the face of it, looking to be in good physical condition. Therefore, the fears that people have that they may not be in good physical condition, good health condition, that does not appear to be the case. They appear to be in a relatively good health condition. And Ananya, this of course has been the big moment. For the last 17 days, we've been tracking this story. Everyone had been hoping and praying. We were getting very close. We were talking last Friday that it was just a matter of hours that the workers would come out, that the drilling machine has to just, drill for just a little bit more, and then we would be there. But it has taken another 5 days more. And now we are here, and it's been such a difficult and arduous journey. Professor Dubey, if I can ask you this question. The fact is, we've been talking about it, that we are very close, and it has taken us 17 long days. What was it about the landscape, that was being dug, which made this rescue mission so complicated?
Look, the landscape, it looks like, when I saw it on the Google itself, it looks like a old landslide thing. And probably the debris which is there and the fragile rocks which are there had, when you dug up something below, a debris or a rock which is very fragile, is bound to, get down. And probably if you have some big boulders over there or big hard rocks are there, they are bound to be, unless you are very careful for the fractures and the faults and the joint planes in the rock. And you need to know the RMR and slope mass rating and rock mass rating of the things. Mm-hmm. Probably we have to take experience from that, and we have to do a self-audit ourselves and find out the problems and solve those problems.
Absolutely, indeed. And the authorities there have been constantly with the people who've been carrying out the rescue mission. We're getting these images where we can see Pushkar Singh Dhami, the Uttarakhand Chief Minister, and also VK Singh, the Union Minister there. And Ananya, this is what it is all. It all boils down to. It was not an easy operation. It was an extremely difficult and complicated operation. We were relying on these high-tech drilling machines, and even they failed. And at the end of the day, the people who actually came and did the rescue work were these rat mine workers, and it is they who in fact went the final few meters and managed to get through that conduit pipe through which these workers are being pulled out.
Absolutely, Saleh. And Mr. Dubey, bringing your expertise here, because of what we saw in the last...
All right, there seems to be a bit of a connection issue with the guest there. And now that the workers are being brought out, Ananya, it's a matter of time, one hopes that everything goes off smoothly. The very first worker was pulled out, and since then, there are reports that a total of 7 workers are being pulled out from the tunnel. And the manner in which it is being done is that there is a stretcher on which these workers are made to lie down on. It's a movable stretcher. It's got wheels underneath it. And then that stretcher is slowly pulled out via ropes by the rescue workers outside. It is not an easy operation, and it's also gotten fairly dark there. It's also fairly cold in the place where the rescue work is presently underway. And we expect this rescue work will continue for at least another hour. And we hope that every worker will, of course, be out pretty soon.
Absolutely. And once they are out, we are being told that a temporary medical facility has been set up inside the tunnel. And once all the 41 workers have been evacuated, a health checkup will be conducted at this facility. And the visuals that you're seeing on your screens right now are live visuals coming in from Uttarkashi. We are being told, we are getting reports that about 7 of them have been evacuated, and the rescue operation is underway to get the rest of the workers also being evacuated soon enough in the matter of the next 1 hour or 2. And we are also being told that in the event of any issues, the health department has arranged about 8 beds, and a team of doctors and experts has been deployed for immediate assistance. Saleh?
And this, of course, is the moment. Some of the family members there who have gathered in that location, they're giving sweets to the people who've been at the location for such a long period of time. Let's in fact listen into some of the stuff that's in fact being said there, because this, remember, has been the moment that people have been waiting for, had been praying for the last 17 days.
बिल्कुल लड्डू बांट के आज स्वागत हो रहा है, दिवाली मनाई जा रही है। हमारे 41 मजदूर भाई जो हैं आज सकुशल बाहर आए हैं बाबा बौखनाथ की कृपा से। और आज हम पुनः दिवाली मना रहे हैं उनकी खुशी में, जो है उनके बाहर आने की खुशी में। स्थानीय लोग हैं, मैं बड़कोट से हूँ, नगर पालिका बड़कोट से, और हम लोग जो है आज पुनः उनकी खुशी में जो आज दिवाली मना रहे हैं।
दिवाली वाले दिन से वो अंदर है, अब दिवाली भी मनेगी, छठ भी मनेगी।
बिल्कुल सब कुछ अब एक साथ मनेगा, बिल्कुल जो है सारा बिल्कुल पूरा मजा आ गया। 41 लोग हमारे सकुशल बाहर आ गए, इससे बड़ी जो है कोई खुशी नहीं है।
स्वागत की क्या कुछ तैयारियां आप लोगों ने करी हैं?
स्वागत की पूरी तैयारियां हैं, पटाखे फोड़े जाएंगे, मिठाइयाँ आपके सामने बंट रही है, अभी जो है हर जगह पटाखे फोड़े जाएंगे। बहुत बड़ी खुशी है।
बिल्कुल सर, एक बार हमारे साथ आइएगा। संतोष, तस्वीर दिखाइए यहाँ पर।
आचार्य जी थोड़ा एक मिनट भेज कर
All right, those are some of the first reactions we are getting live from Uttarkashi. And remember, some of the relatives of these workers who have been trapped for 17 long days have gathered around the tunnel for days now, anticipating for a major breakthrough. And officials were hard at work. We were expecting a breakthrough just 2 days back as well, but we need to understand these are very technical operations that the NDRF and the NDMA have been taking up, and because of which we also need to understand that with a complex mission like this, success is not always guaranteed. But as we see on our visuals, of course, about 7 to 10 workers have been rescued as of now, and they seem to be optimistic for the rest of the workers as well.
It's a matter of time, Ananya, because this one hopes, things will of course go on very smoothly. This was a very complex operation, because remember, digging through the debris of a collapsed landslide is not the same as digging through a tunnel in a mountain, because constantly what is happening is there is the flow of the collapsed debris that is constantly shifting. So the more debris that you remove, there is more that comes in to fill up that space, and that is what was happening. And towards the end, there was this metal mesh rods that was part of the tunnel construction which had come in, which resulted in the drilling machine to in fact get damaged. And eventually it was the rat mine workers who used these simple implements, who managed to get in, and of course they managed to go in and finally managed to put in place the conduit that has been successful in getting these workers out. And this is the big moment. This is the moment that we've been waiting for, and this is what everyone had been praying for across the length and breadth of India, because for the last 17 days it was a difficult operation. Remember, as soon as the news came in that there was a tunnel collapse, a lot of people thought probably they may not survive, because these are operations where things can go wrong, things hang by a thread, and you simply cannot predict what can happen. Even when these international experts were talking about it, they said we are close, but we can't promise anything. And this evening, It's been a culmination of all these efforts for the last 17 odd days, where the workers are now out, they're coming out, and it's not an easy task dragging these workers out, because most of them are exhausted. They've not had much movement, they've had no sunlight for the last 17 days, and they are tired. And the way in which they're being brought out is via a tube which is just 90 centimeters in its diameter. So imagine a stretcher with wheels that has been inserted via that conduit tube, and each worker then lays down on that, and one just hopes that the sand does not shift from underneath the tube, because that can again create a complication.
Absolutely.
One hopes that does not happen, and then they're slowly being dragged out. And according to experts there, they say that it takes about 5 minutes to bring out each individual worker. But I'm sure that process will quicken up as the rescue works will continue.
Absolutely. And speaking of the process, to give a sense of what's happening on the ground, white pipes have been pushed through the debris in the tunnel, and a team of National Disaster Response Force, that's also known as the NDRF, have been wearing oxygen kits, and they are crawling through the pipe carrying wheel-fitted stretchers, as Saleh also mentioned, with the rope and oxygen kits for the workers as well. So that narrow space with all of those equipments. And what's also important is that the doctors and paramedics are waiting outside with the wheel-fitted stretchers, after which they will check the vitals of the trapped workers. Idris, what is the latest you are hearing from Uttarkashi at the moment?
Well, what we're hearing right now is that 20 of the 41 workers have been successfully rescued, which means half of them have been taken out successfully. It seems that they're taking lesser than 5 minutes to take each person out, and within the next 10 to 15 minutes, I think all of them would be rescued successfully. The first thing that is being done with all the rescued workers is they're taken into these ambulances where their vitals are being checked, where the doctor's team is awaiting, and they're doing a medical checkup first of all, and then they are allowed to meet their loved ones. The process we thought might take a couple of hours, but it seems like in another 20 minutes all the trapped workers would be taken out. It took an extremely, it was an Herculean task for all the workers who had been, all the rescue teams who had been working from the last 17 days, day in and night. They've been working to get all of these workers out, and finally it has paid off. The whole country has been praying for these workers, and that has also paid off. We've seen half of them have finally been taken out, and it seems like a minute or two to take each one of them out, and all of them we are being told are healthy, but since they were in a tunnel for 17 days, I'm sure some of them must have gone through mental trauma, and that might be something that the government and the medical teams will be looking at.
Absolutely, Idris. Sorry, 17 days back when the disaster had struck, we were hearing from experts that the Uttarkashi Tunnel is actually testimony that it's actually a reminder not to mess with the world's youngest mountains. What do you think about that?
That's of course true. When it comes to these kind of these kind of drilling activities, you never can be sure. Now, Himalayas, we've seen these mountains, we say they are as old as time. But Himalaya, in geological terms, are actually very young mountains. These are fold mountains. They've been around for about 70 million years. That doesn't make them very old. The Aravallis, for instance, in Rajasthan, they're about 300 million years old. These are still very young mountains. These are constantly shifting. They're constantly growing. They grow by a height of almost about an inch every single year. So if you can imagine the Himalayan mountains, we know that these are as ancient as human civilization can even conceive of, but in geological terms, these are very young mountains, and it is difficult. This drilling work that is being done, this is about balancing development with conservation of nature, and I'm sure in the coming years, the government and the experts will sit down, they'll put their heads together and they'll think about how to proceed from here. It's not an easy task because there is a balance that needs to be struck between, you can't say that we will not drill at all, we will not have tunnels at all, because that is needed. Yeah. At the same time, you'll also have to balance the ecological impact that the human activities in places like this has. So that's something that we will debate upon, Ananya, for many, many years to come, because this is something that we've witnessed in this incident and in many other incidents where there's been an increase in the number of landslides that have been witnessed, predominantly because of over-construction, predominantly because of these human activities that we're witnessing them. But tonight, this is about a success story. It's a success story that a lot of people, look, on the face of it, everyone was putting a brave face to it. They thought that, yes, we will, of course, get them out alive. But let me tell you, a lot of the experts who were hard at this work, not many of them were completely convinced in their hearts that this would end up as a success story, because the complications that just kept coming one after another. That was not an easy task. This is an operation that has gone on for 400 hours. Imagine the amount of time and work. And we're sitting here in the studio and we're talking about it, but there are people who've been there day after day, night after night, hour after hour, just digging through, hoping that they get an inch closer with every passing minute. And now they've done it. It was a distance of about 57 meters of debris, constant. This is not hard rock that you're digging through. This is debris that is shifting. This is debris that has got a lot of iron mesh in it. And that's basically what we've been digging through, and now it's a success story.